What's up guys, today we got a requested video, the iPhone 13 Pro versus the Galaxy S9 Plus full speed camera comparison here. So I'm assuming you are coming from the S9 Plus, you're thinking about going to iPhone, so it's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and see. Just gonna do a clean boot up here before we start. Talk about the pricing. You know, you're probably aware, but gonna cost you $1,000 for an 13 Pro, and of course the S9 Plus. If you guys haven't seen my videos, one of the best used slash refurbished phones that you can get on the market right now. It's very nice. Now before we start launching apps, here are your Geekbench scores. So you can see a big jump in the Geekbench performance in the single and multi-core. So we are running the Apple A15 chip on here with 6 gigs of RAM, and then on the S9 Plus we have the Snapdragon 845. There is an Exynos version, but if you're in the US, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get the Snapdragon version anyway. So Snapdragon 845, and then you also have 6 gigs of RAM on this device, and Adreno 630 GPU. Those are your scores. Mine's actually outperforming your average S9 Plus there. Alright, so let's go ahead and launch some applications. Alright, let's go ahead and see. It shouldn't be too bad of a difference here. Let's see. iPhone S9 right behind it. As you can see with the two screens, I actually prefer the S9 screen. It actually has no notch. The bezels aren't really that bad on the S9 too, and it's a 1440p display as well too. So it's just still a really nice screen. YouTube. It looked like the S9 got in there first, but the iPhone loaded up that video. One thing you'll notice is the 120 hertz versus the 60 hertz. Now the S9 is still fairly smooth, but if you've never tried 120 hertz, it's gonna feel like butter, liquid smooth. So just know that it is a pretty big deal actually. All right, so we've got Pokemon Go, and again, not too bad. We're not seeing a crazy massive difference here. Like I said, the Snapdragon 845 chip is still really fast, so it's not like it's hicking up and lagging all over the place. A lot of people really think that these older flagship phones are no good because you might see them for cheap and you're like, I'll pass. But guys, these are some powerful phones still. You can see it's really keeping up with the iPhone, one of the latest and honestly one of the best chips out right now. Let's try Temple Run. Probably need to update mine. Oh, it actually beat that. Alright, so that's one for the S9 Plus, surprisingly. Snapchat S9 Plus again looks like. Let's try to. So I'm telling you guys, super smooth. It's not a massive difference. Spotify, again, Jetpack. Okay, there's kind of a little difference there. Twitter, Twitch. So as we can see, even though the S9 isn't much older flagship, it's really not lagging behind the iPhone, as we can see. So we will see a pretty, significant jump up. And again, that's if you're a gamer. You will see a jump up in graphics and stuff like that with games like PUBG. Now, if you guys have seen my full gaming test, you can still play Fortnite, Call of Duty Mobile at some pretty good settings on the S9 Plus. So if you want to see that in detail, be sure to check that video out. Boom, we're in. And we're in on the S9 here. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys the graphic settings, see what we're working with here. S9 Plus, we're on Ultra, Extreme, and then you can see the iPhone able to do Extreme up to Ultra HD. You got Ultra, Ultra, no Ultra HD. So both of these phones do play games at a really good job, but of course the iPhone is going to be able to game better. So if you're a gamer, this could be a big deal. If you're not, a gamer, then you probably won't really care. But yeah, so it really comes down to whether you game a lot. But as far as just like playing PUBG on the S9 Plus, it's still fine. But if you're somebody that wants to get the most graphic power out of your phone, then obviously the 13 Pro is going to be where it's at. But it still plays really smooth on extreme frame rates, honestly. And like I said, if you want to see this more in detail, just check out my gaming test here. And also, guys, I know I keep saying this, but the screen on here is a still gorgeous display. It also has a slight curve to it as well. 13 Pro, you already know, super smooth. You're not going to have any issues with this phone. Also, another cool thing about the 120 Hertz phones, games that are compatible, you will be able to have like that 90 FPS option eventually on PUBG once they update it. But let's go ahead and check some RAM management here. Still open on both. Very nice. Still open. Still open. Okay. No closeouts so far. Good. Okay. PUBG still open. Snapchat. No closeouts. Wow. It's keeping up. Oh wow. No closeouts? What? Wow. It kept everything open. Awesome. Awesome job. At least definitely on the S9's part. I mean, they do have the same, amount of RAM, but alright guys, I am going to show you the side-by-side stills in the video, but let's talk about the camera specs real quick. 13 Pro, triple camera setup, 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 4K video, 2430 to 60 FPS, and you also have a macro lens on here as well. And then on the front, you do have a 12 megapixel selfie that also shoots in 4K, 24, 25, 30, and 60 FPS here. So on the S9 Plus here, you are rocking a dual camera setup on here. So the thing about this phone is this, no ultra wide, but it's still a pretty good camera setup as we're going to see. 12 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel telephoto, 4K video at 30 or 60 FPS, and then you have an 8 megapixel selfie cam on here. And then you also have the iris scanner, which will scan your eyes. Technically a camera, but it's not, it's not a real camera. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and show you guys those still side by side. You guys see the video. Let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, here's the video on the S9 Plus here. We also have our telephoto lens we can zoom into 2x. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, here's the video on the iPhone. We also have a telephoto lens at 3x. And we can also punch out to our ultra wide when this antenna's going. Well, that's what that looks like. Let me know what you guys think. All right, and lastly, for all my speaker fans, we are going to compare the speakers. I do have Dolby Atmos on the S9. Let's go ahead and make sure everything's maxed out. So immediately I can hear that the bass is hitting way harder on the 13 Pro. The S9 Plus is almost equal in volume, it's just not equal when it comes to the bass quality. You get just a much more fuller, thumpier sound on the 13 Pro. You can now turn Dolby Atmos off and see what we get. Yeah, so almost kind of close, but the 13 Pro does have a much more, you know, full sound to it, I guess. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.